Tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get into founding and working with X Factor Media?
I was in corporate America for 20 years. I was in pharmaceuticals for 15. Then I worked in the medical device space for 5 in the aesthetic industry. And then after separating from the company, the last company in corporate, I wanted to start my own firm. And I started my own firm, what was it now? God, about 11 years ago. And I traditionally did like digital marketing for a while, websites, SEO. Now I kind of migrated over to do more media like PR, media monitoring, media buying, that kind of stuff. So we're full service. We're called X Factor Media. We're out of New Jersey, and been an entrepreneur for over 11 years and haven't looked back.
How's the journey been for you so far?
Crazy ups and downs, but the net, it's a net positive, and the good outweighs the bad.
Absolutely. I've experimented with entrepreneurship, throughout my time graduating from school. I graduated in 2018
Nice.
and it wasn't the best time to graduate in, but you gotta, no matter what, you gotta make the most of it. Why I say it was the best time is not even a year and a half later, we got hit with a global pandemic, and I watched so much change in the media landscape. When I first came to school in 2014, we was still in traditional media. Digital media hasn't left as nowhere near a big imprint as it has today. And even through my time in school, I had to figure out how to adapt. How to stay relevant during these times, how to uh, pretty much reinvent myself.
Correct.
So that's something I learned. So how have you found to reinvent yourself in your space? Because I know pretty much most of what I'm saying came along with the same things that you're dealing with.
Well, so along the way, I always wanted to get into publishing. I wanted to do magazines. I wanted to be the media, if you will. So I purchased a local New Jersey-based magazine called New Jersey Digest, and literally bought it right before the pandemic. I bought it in late 19.
Nice.
So 2022 came, all the advertisers dried up, and I was in a bad way. And they put a lot of money out for this acquisition, and I was just left on the hook. So I scrambled and I said, I have a digital background. I know it's a print magazine. So I made a tough decision. It was 10 years print and just go all digital. For the most part, it paid off. So since then, we did do one print version, but we're just not feeling print. So we're all digital, and we went from maybe 2,500 visitors on the site a month to close to 200,000 fast forward 3 years later.
Nice, nice. And how has it been to like scale that kind of growth? Especially, I'm pretty sure like it was a lot of just betting on yourself and your instincts, especially with not knowing what's coming next. So how was it
Yeah,
to scale that
so
growth during that time?
we took a brick by brick approach. So we literally slowly built an infrastructure. We invested heavily time and money into Instagram, where we have about 135,000 followers. TikTok, close to 100,000. Very large email list, about 350,000. And we went product first, so we just put out a really good product, focus on the brand. Ran very lean, so when the hard times came, we didn't have to lay anybody off. Kind of happy about that. And literally just a brick by brick approach, focusing on great content, local content, and then focusing on social little by little, continuing to grow the account more and more. And now we've reached about 1.5 million people a month, and we're still looking to grow every month. I want to double the platform in a year.
Nice, nice. I love to hear that, And like I always say all the time, there's so many avenues to create reach, in that realm.
Right.
You know. How do you stay innovative within the content creation and marketing?
So one, you need the right people. You can't do everything yourself. You got to hire the right people and get the hell out of their way and pay them well for what they do. I like to pay for performance, so make it about performance, not the task, and just stay relevant. Follow trends on social, have different kind of collaborators, contributions, challenge each other. Don't be afraid to challenge something that's not going well, and conversely, things that are going well, try to reward it. But just get the right people on the bus. I know it's kind of obvious, and everybody kind of talks about that, but it's no truer, especially in the media game.
I agree wholeheartedly. And one thing I noticed in media, I noticed Well, I noticed two things. So let me say two things I noticed. I noticed strong teams, and I noticed people or just a singular person with the with the brand, that's probably it looks like it's ran by multiple people, but it's ran by one person, like mine,
Yeah,
of course. I would say I noticed those type of people necessarily struggle with team building, or they struggle with the importance of actually having people around you, especially with like-minded goals, and also the type of skill set that you probably can't necessarily pull off yourself. That's why you got them around you.
yeah. Well, so the key is to be able to build, but not with just your two hands. And I remember I have a podcast myself, and I remember interviewed this guy, Jeff Hoffman. He was on the founding team of Priceline.com. Guy was a billionaire. And he goes, you need three types of people on your team. You need an innovator, so that's like a creator type, inventor. You need a builder, and you need a manager. And in the beginning, when I started X Factor Media, I was a good builder, and the guy I was with was a fantastic innovator, but I had no manager. So we actually failed a few times. We almost went out of business twice. Versus now, we put the team together, five of us now, and we're a mix of creatives, innovators, builders like myself, and then managers to help kind of keep the steer afloat. And you need all those kind of three people, personalities, not all of one, but spread out into three, and you're gonna win.
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, what's been some of your favorite projects that you worked with X Factor Media?
Well, one interesting one is so I'm a Jersey guy, regular guy, blue collar kid from an Italian American family. My family actually emigrated from Italy in 1959. So we got a project about 10 years ago where a plastic surgeon wanted just to do men. But when you think of plastic surgery, you think of breast augmentations, BBL for women. 99% at the time were women. He's like, I think men are being underserved. And 10 years ago, we dived in deep as an agency. And at first, we got ridiculed by the media. We got roasted, got every name in the book, meaning the brand. We were behind the scenes, the agency. But we looked at, there was people kind of roasting the brand, but then there was a lot of guys kind of looking at the site and spending a lot of time looking. So it's like, do as I say, not as I do. So we saw the data and it was pretty profound where it said, wait a second, there is an appetite for men to get aesthetic procedures. And fast forward, 10 years later, they now have three centers, and we help scale the brand, and we hope to get them to 10 centers in the future. So that's a pretty cool endeavor. That's maleplasticsurgery.com, where the agency behind it, and it's been a pretty cool campaign since.
Absolutely. And would you call that project a gamble of any type? Like, were you stepping out on like any type of things you weren't used to or comfortable with?
Yeah, it's a huge gamble. I'm respectfully a straight, kind of regular guy, and you're looking at, guys' abs all day and like butt implants, and it's like not the most aesthetic thing for me to look at.
Hmm.
But I say good marketers market what they know. Great marketers market what they don't know. So that was kind of like that, and it's turned out pretty well for us.
That's pretty well. Now, when I was reading over your bio and all the information that was sent to me, I seen that you were in the process of creating marketing strategies for the Super Bowl, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been really keenly interested with this year about the Super Bowl. Maybe not as exciting as other years, but that's okay. There's a lot of stuff and machinations going on with the Super Bowl this year from a strategy perspective. That's true.
Absolutely. Could you perhaps touch on anything such as strategies used for the
Yeah.
game? What can we expect from out of that from X Factor?
Yeah. Well, for us, what we're observing is, and we're doing some content on as we speak, including your show, is we're noticing there's a pregame buzz, which includes a lot of teasers, being rolled on like Instagram and TikTok, and they're getting heavily out with celebrities, kind of part and parcel. But they're using more influencers this year as well, kind of influencers and crossovers. And we're noticing kind of, and some stalwart, like kind of like celebrities have been around a while too. So a mix of celebrities and influencers, but more influencers this year, which kind of makes it interesting. And we're seeing more articles, not articles, sorry, commercials released pre or teasers at least being released even before the Super Bowl, and that's kind of unique to this year. So people are doing shorts on it, giving feedback and that kind of stuff. Where typically it's been pretty guarded when there was a Super Bowl ad because you want to release it on the Super Bowl day. But one of the unique strategies this year from some brands is to create a pregame buzz.
Create a pregame buzz. So like that you think that's something that most digital marketing experts are like cashing in on fully right now, more so than the traditional route?
Yeah, because it's not, for example, you're not going to put on a billboard. You're not going to put in print, so it's definitely a digital play. Also, the platforms are shifting a little bit. I think people are getting a little bit more away from X, Twitter, and migrating over to more rich content in the form of a TikTok. Not something new, but I just see from a media perspective, people kind of migrating over. So I think this year probably TikTok is probably one of the most important or more important platforms for any relevant brand to be on.
I agree. How do you feel about the rebrand of Twitter, and getting through to the general audience or consumers on Twitter, well
Yeah,
on X now.
yeah, I think that it's obviously a huge gamble, $44 billion. I think the real reason why he bought it was because he wants to control like kind of the AI space, and to control AI, you need as much natural language as you can get. How much more natural language can you get to Twitter? So now he's going to kind of have this back end and this full vault to create really like almost a human with all the AI intelligence that can be able to gather with Twitter, and they'll have it firsthand without getting it third party. I think that's a real reason why I bought it. I do like the fact that I am a free speech guy. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I'll fight for the right for you to say it. So I like that part of it. But from a marketing end, I think he's starting to make some waves. I know he signed some deals in terms of some content creators. But I was never a big Twitter guy anyway. And him buying it and some new user features make it more attractive for some people, but I haven't really jumped on, to be honest. So I think that's a long-term play for him. But I'm slightly underimpressed on execution. You would think him being on it would sway people to want to use it more. And I don't think they're daily average users are out there. If anything, they're probably falling off a little bit.
Absolutely. Now, I would say like recently, as in like a year or so ago, it's coming up on like the year's time. I got into the realm of copywriting and everything. I would say that Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it now, I feel like it's been a great tool for it. But as far as I would say the turning over, to clients and getting more people to understand things, we got things such as you got to pay for a subscription now, which is something that I'm not all the way with. But it works for who it works for. Like I feel like your reach, of course, your reach is under like I don't know what to call it, pretty much a limitation when you're not on this subscription.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get through those, to get through. But what would you say for advertiser or anyone in the digital marketing space that's trying to, get through to a unique audience on, it doesn't necessarily have to be on X, but on these digital platforms? What would you say to someone, especially when it's so many barriers now? We got things such as um paid advertising. You got things such as like Instagram switching up their algorithm for reels to be popularized now, trying to compete with TikTok in a sense.
Yeah. So I do some paid media on behalf of our clients.
Yeah.
Find myself doing a lot more with rich media like shorts and video. So I personally like YouTube shorts a lot.
Yeah.
You get a large audience without the expense, a little cheaper to advertise there than other places. I stopped advertising on X a while ago. I found it good to be for awareness, but conversion not so much. But I do like TikTok advertising, Instagram, Meta advertising, Facebook and Facebook and IG. But I really like YouTube Shorts. I'm really bullish on that right now, and that's where we're kind of spending some money on behalf of our clients.
Yeah, I like shorts as well. I think shorts and TikTok, I feel like before they buckle down on that some more, maybe the algorithm might change, but I feel like that's the two best platforms to get unique viewership, you know. How do you play your content onto these new platforms though? Like, 'cause certain I noticed certain trends that will lead to unique engagements. Like one trend I follow, you know, the big bubble words on TikTok, or you know, having now people have like lyrics or 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 dialogue come across the
Captions, yeah.
screen, you know. So what trends do you kind of fall into?
Well, what's working right now, and it's just kind of some of it's going to always be there is consistency. Do not just post, once a week and expect, 100,000 views. You need to post consistency, and I believe any algorithm will reward you as such. Above and beyond consistency is congruency. You need to make sure you kind of know your audience, you know your niche, and make sure you make advertisement that people that follow you care about, or share it with people that care about your content. So between consistency and making sure you're hitting the right audience, and then just create good content. It's short form mostly now, under whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds. I think it's 3 minutes on Reels, I believe. So
Yeah.
short term content is kind of king right now. And the cool thing is with, with AI, if you do a podcast, you can tease out um, captions and shorts. So that's pretty cool. And then on top of that, you can again use other AI tools to make different reels with maybe out an editor, kind of saving you money. So I just think right now, short form content is king, and the big three are shorts, TikTok and Instagram.
I agree. You know, man, it's been. I'm gonna just give you a quick backstory. It's been quite the ride on content lately. You know, I would say over recent years, you know, a lot of art had to go into the form of content. You know, a lot of content can't go into the form of art. You know, but I feel like most art can. You know, so I'm saying all that to say, I feel like a lot of that space has been it was saturated for a while, especially to me, especially within the creation space, especially last year. I feel like it led to the point of people kind of stuck in their ways, finding monetization for themselves. They kind of got away from the essence of, you know, creating good content. They just wanted that consistency, or they wanted that visibility.
Yep.
And I felt like the algorithm rewarded as such, but at the same time, I felt like, you know, it made a lot of content or a lot of art, whatever you want to perceive it as, it made it take a back seat. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
how can you expect people or creators in this day and age when everything is just changing, how can they be consistent with actually creating good content? You know, because like what is good content subjective to? You know, is it just subjected to the viewers? Is it the creators? Like what you think?
Well, one is good content is just simply content that is consistent with your brand and its ethics, values, morals. So, that's kind of the basis of it. And then it has the message and so forth. Also determined by the market. Sorry, I got some background noise.
I know
Is
you
that,
fine.
are you hearing the background noise or no?
I know. Yeah, I don't hear it.
Okay. So in terms of what great content is, also is it perceived by the audience? Is it getting good engagement, great watch time, great completion, sharing, liking, saving, and that's for the market to decide. That's why it's marketing. What I do or like to do for our team is to not only be consistent, but like for example, the TikTok algorithm has been a disaster on the organic side. It just really just like it's hard to get views now. So right now, I'm recommending our team just do a lot of testing, fire some bullets, try this, try that, try this, kind of see what works before even trying to grow. And then once you find what works, test that same thing more, type of content more. And once after three or four, you got it, boom, lean into that. So there's different type of content. You got, evergreen content, you got hot topics, you got collaborations that you do on different type of stuff. So you just got to keep trying to do different content, so the algorithm shows you what they like, and then kind of lean into that.
Absolutely. You gotta pay attention to detail as well, because sometimes they can go right over your head. You probably just missed your moment. you know. But I would also say outside of Super Bowl strategies and advertisement and everything, what are other advertisement spaces that you worked in that paid off for you?
I like if you have the budget and the time and you're in it for the long game, I like the awareness component, where you just keep, if you have, let's say, a store or a business, a kind of a localized area. I like billboards, right? They're inexpensive 'cause a lot of money went digital. You can do geofencing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, where you can kind of target an area based on location and messaging. And by a combination of, let's say, a billboard, geofencing on your phone, some paid ads, some social and Google PPC, by having an omni-channel approach, which is probably the right way to do it. Um, is what we are looking to do because you may be a TikTok guy and I may be an Instagram guy. So, we have to reach both of us to get to us to buy their product or our product. And we like to hit the right person at the right channel at the right time. That's why we like, an omni-channel approach, not just really leaning into one, but covering all the different channels.
Absolutely. And what would you say with like you were saying, there's going to be a lot of different type of content this year with influencers and everything. So once this content hits and the audience actually find it receptive, how do you think this will change moving after the Super Bowl? How you think this will change the advertising in a digital space?
Well, I think that the big brands, like for example, Addison Rae is doing a piece with nerds, and she started out on TikTok, and I believe she's singing now. It's not really my demographic, but so they kind of tapped her for a nerds ad, and I think part of the reason why brands are going for the large influencers, they're hedging a little bit, right? Before you hired an actor kind of had fan base, and you're hoping they had influence. But when you go with an influencer who has 100 million followers, you now are like not only promoting it to people in the Super Bowl, which is seen by 114 million people, but you also have another 114 million people following this person. So it's like kind of like getting one Super Bowl ad, buy one get one free. And so it'd be interesting if that kind of translates and moves the needle, for sales, market share, and the like.
Absolutely. And how do you think I would say how do you think the people in charge of the advertising space in the Super Bowl and everything, how do you think they will find this if this is a success or a failure? Like, how do you think they would, how would they find that out? Would they go by revenue? Are they going by likes, shares, views?
Well, big brands depends, right? Like a Nerds is more of like a mature product trying to make a comeback. So that's an easy one. You'd like to see that would be probably sales, that they have a spike in sales, and if so, how much? That they get the intended ROAS, return on ad spend. And then looking at like Chris Jenner doing like an Oreo commercial, that might not translate a lot to sales, but it might translate to a lot of brand awareness. So when, maybe a mother or father goes shopping at BJ's or Costco or whatever, and they think of that Oreos, they reach for maybe Oreos again. So it's kind of like the metric there would be a kind of awareness. So that's also, another metric as well.
Absolutely. And how do you actually break into these spaces? Because Super Bowl, you got millions of people watching you. So, like, what what steps, it doesn't have to be the most detailed steps, but are like what are important keys, to allow someone to break through to this type of level.
I mean, one, you need the ad spend, and if you have the $7 million to fork over for 30 seconds, that's one. But the expenses don't stop there. You actually have the creative, a commercial is going to run you in six figures, a decent commercial at that level. So these are meant for the bigger brands, and it's meant for the bigger players. I would never, and I don't think that many brands have bigger brands kind of bet on the Super Bowl in the sense where they kind of went all in on the Super Bowl, threw $10 million on it, and like hope it worked. This is more of a reminder play. Bigger brands get out there, freshen up a little bit, connect to the Gen Y and Gen Z audience, but you need to have deep pockets to kind of play in that backyard.
Oh yeah, it's a money game, right?
Correct.
For sure, for sure. Now, what would you say has been your most important lesson as of recently working with this Super Bowl?
I would say, I mean, we're not advertising per se. Obviously, I wish I was big enough for clients to advertise on the actual uh, Super Bowl itself, but we are trying to tie in anecdotally to some of our clients, some campaigns, tying them into the Super Bowl, whether it be a football theme, a hashtag theme, maybe a contest, something interactive, something like that. We're still kind of rolling this stuff out. But yeah, we're not going like super heavy in on the Super Bowl, but we're also not ignoring it either.
Absolutely. And how important is time management in this space?
Well, more timing than time management because you may well, again you need the right message on the right platform to the right client at the right time. When you line that up, they're going to be interested. So it might be a transactional ad, which is more like a hey, buy here, give me money, buy here, kind of an online type thing, or maybe a reminder advertising for like a gym, like a My Planet Fitness or whatever that is, or Planet Fitness, where's a reminder, hey, check us out, and after times you give in and you go. So you got to balance kind of like the transformational ads and influential ads with kind of transactional ads, and that combination is going to help you win.
Absolutely. And before I pivot away from the Super Bowl, let me ask you this. Who's your pick? Who you going with?
I was talking to my sons today. If I had a, I think it's maybe San Fran's here. What do
It's gonna be a good one.
I like Mahomes and I like the
Yeah.
Chiefs, but I think it's San Fran's here. What do you think?
It's gonna be a good one. My whole thing throughout the whole playoffs, my thing was, yeah, the Chiefs are shorthanded, but this was the whole gist for me. That was a top two defense, and that was still a top 10 offense. No
Yeah.
matter who they had at receiver, no matter how dry that offense looked, it was still a top 10 offense. And when it comes down to it, you can't bet against Mahomes. Brock Purdy is doing amazing things. That is a stacked San Francisco team. That team is stacked. That's about the greatest looking offense I would say since Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Terry Holt, Isaac Bruce was greatest show on turf.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, so I don't know. You can't bet against Mahomes.
it'll be
Brock
interesting.
Purdy, yeah, Brock Purdy is something different.
Well, he's
Never
good.
seen.
The shorter passer, higher percentage. Mahomes kind of make things happen.
Yeah.
Mahomes rough year, ups and downs, but he really kind of kicked it up at the right time. I do think it's going to be more of a defensive game.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Pacheco's kind of hard to stop. We know that. But also McCaffrey. I think if they utilize McCaffrey correctly, he's unstoppable. So we'll see. But if I had to do money line, I would go with the Niners.
For sure. Um, Also, what else is planned for the rest of the year for X Factor Media? We're only one
We're
month down for the year.
you're not in New Jersey, but you're welcome to check it out. We're trying to really grow New Jersey Digest. Believe it or not, we kind of did an analysis recently, and we found that 40% of our content creators were outside of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, whoa, wait a second. So we thought that was pretty cool. So people like evergreen content; they don't care; it has to be specific to an area. We also noticed a lot of people that maybe are not from New Jersey, but like New Jersey content. So we're just kind of grow that brand and just trying to grow brick by brick. We give a we're out 11 years, so for 11 year old company to grow 20% top line is a little aggressive. We put that goal for us this year, and we'll hope to achieve it.
Absolutely. And how do you stay aggressive on these type of goals? With the team involved and everything, how do you all just stay aggressive and make sure everybody's playing their roles, all goals are being hit? If some aren't being hit, how do you just rebound off that?
Yeah, great question. So we had a little slow start for January. So I'm sat with my junior partner, and we kind of isolated like what was wrong, and then immediately put a plan into action. So you got to always monitor the results. We call it our 20-mile march. Hey, what do we got to do today? Let's get that done. Not look beyond that. What's the next 20-mile march? Let's get that done. And by the time you keep like chopping, you get to your goal quicker. So near the end of the month or end of the quarter, you're not like going for the Hail Mary. It's just kind of sliding in at the goal line because you did all that work before. So kind of just brick by brick, 20-mile march, consistency, and that's the best way to achieve your goals.
Exactly. And showing up. I always say showing up is over half of the battle, because it's not easy, especially in certain spaces where things just change so much. It's not easy. But what would you say to anyone who want to join this space of digital advertising, strategy, marketing? What would you say to someone that's joining this field? Any
Um,
advice?
just be a specialist. There, a lot of people do a lot of different things, but if you want to be a really good designer, but be flexible in your specialty. Like if you're a graphic designer, know some video. If you're an SEO person, know some paid ads. So just make sure that you kind of have your niche and specialty, but be a little flexible within a specialty so you don't get too niched out. But the same token, but be a specialist kind of in that general area, and then that's when you win.
I agree. And before we get up out of here, just plug in everything that you got going on. New Jersey Digest, X Factor Media, where they can find you, all those good things.
Well, we're X Factor Media. The website's thexfactorteam.com. My name's Tom LaVecchia. You can find me at the Sales Expert on Twitter. And then lastly, New Jersey Digest. Google it. But if you want to write it out, the Digest online. So check it out, and we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. It's been great speaking with you, Tom. I
Yeah,
appreciate your time.
Jimmy. Send me the link when it's available. I'll share it with my my team, and I really appreciate your time, man. Have a good one.